Buckle up, kids. It's about to get real shady up in here. Hi guys, welcome back to the Pretty Bookish channel where we talk all things books all the time. My name is Nogukanya, your resident book lover slash book nerd slash Noah of all things, allegedly. So welcome if it's your first time here, first of all. Welcome back if you're an OG and you've been with me for a while. So today's video is going to be something that I haven't done before, but it's something that I actually need to do because I need to hold myself accountable and I need to remember all the times that I wasted my precious time. Today's video is going to be all the books, or not all the books, some of the books that I should have DNF'd. So everybody knows this about me on Instagram, but I should tell you guys here, I have a huge problem with DNFing books. I struggle so much to DNF books. I don't know if I'm the only person. The thought of not finishing a book once I've started, it literally makes my bones itch. Like, I can't handle, like when I start a book, if I leave it like halfway and I put it back on the shelf and I'm like, I'm not gonna, something up in my eye keeps drawing me back to the book, and eventually I'll pick it back up and finish it, and 9 times out of 10, when I finished it, it was just as bad as it was at the halfway mark, i.e. I wasted several hours of my life that I am never gonna get back. And like, it's one of those things that like, I really feel like this is a skill I need to get. It was one of my challenges, or one of my 2021 reading goals, was to start DNFing stuff. And if you know how to DNF, if you're a person who DNF stuff regularly, I applaud you, because I struggle so much with it. So these are gonna be the, how many are there? I think 8 books that I should have DNF'd, that I actually finished. And you probably saw some of these in wrap-ups, and you've also seen me probably talk a lot of shit about some of these, but I actually ended up finishing them because I couldn't not finish it, and I still to this day am so vexed about the time that I will never get back that I spent reading these books. Okay, so let's dive straight into the books that I should have DNF'd. Before we get started, some light admin. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram and @PrettyXBookish. Like, comment, follow, share, all that fun stuff. Tell your grandmama and your grandpappy to follow me on Instagram and to follow me and to subscribe to my channel so that we can just all have fun together all the time. Okay, so books I should have DNF'd. The first one, I did a whole YouTube video talking about why I did not like this book and what the problems were that I had with this book, and you guys should know what it was. And it vexed me so much because I was so excited to read this book. You guys had no idea. When the day it dropped, I ordered it. I got it. I started reading it. I kept reading and I was just like, is it just me? And I thought, nah. And then I finished it and I realized that it was actually crap, and that was Ties That Tether by Jane Igaro. I will put a link below of the YouTube video that I did about this book if you're interested in me, like a full-on unpacking. But like, this is one of those books that was so disappointing. It was so disappointing because this is a book that should have been like African black girl magic, and instead it ended up being a book that I felt like was written with white readers in mind. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just felt like this book just did not hit the mark for me. I did not like Raphael. What was her name? Azera. I didn't like Azera. I found Raphael to be such a bland white man. There was just like no chemistry between them. And also the way that they described, or the descriptions, or the like, what's the word I'm looking for? The characterization of Azera's mother bothered me, fam. Like, it bothered me so much. And I knew when I hit the halfway mark that the writing just was not for me. And I just kept reading because I thought to myself, no, it's going to get better. They'll sew it together in the end. It's going to make sense. It did not make sense. Like, I just, oh, my outfit is matching this book. Anyway, I just did not like this book at all. And I really should have stopped reading. And it's just one of those things where a part of me finished this book because I wanted to be able to review it for you guys, but I really feel like this was like maybe 5 hours of my life that I'm just never going to get back. So this one should have been DNF'd. Another one that should have been DNF'd that I actually read last month, or the month before, February or March, I think February, that I don't know why I kept reading, was We Are Lost and Found by Helene Dunbar. It's a queer YA novel set in, I think, like the 1980s in New York. And the thing is, like, it was just very bland. It was just very like beige. Like, it was literally like the book equivalent of The Color Beige. There was nothing exciting. The character work wasn't great. The writing wasn't great. And I knew that from like halfway, that I just did not care about any of these characters. I didn't care about Michael. I didn't care about his brother. I didn't care about his... I think James is probably the one character that I actually liked in this book. But even him, he was like barely there. So I don't know. And you know, guys, I love queer YA. It's one of my favorite book genres or whatever, but this was just one of those books where I was just like, it's a no from me. So the next one, Bookstagram lies, okay, and BookTube lies too. So this book is like, so many people hype this book up, my dear Jesus. I have saw so many rave reviews about this book, and I was getting back into the fantasy space. So you know I had to pick up Serpents and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. When I tell you guys, I think, and this is like a common theme for me halfway, but probably this one, it was probably earlier than halfway, that something has gone awry here. But I kept reading because I thought to myself, no guys, everybody said this is good, so it's probably going to get better. Did it get better? No ma'am. No ma'am, it did not. And like, you know what? I'm the kind of person who, when it comes to DNFing, I almost feel like I have to DNF something within the first 100 pages, because once I pass that halfway mark, it's like the line of no return for me. I feel like I've wasted enough of my hours that I have to finish this book. I have to finish it so that I could tell you guys that it was bad. But this is a book that I should have started. Like the last 100 pages or so, I was just like, I don't care anymore. I actually just don't care anymore. And like, I kept reading. I just kept reading because I couldn't stop, and I should have DNF'd this book. Now, you guys might be wondering, because I'm pretty sure I've said this about Blood and Honey, which is the sequel that I'm gonna read it. You might be wondering why that is, because I really should have DNF'd this one. It's because what I noticed on Bookstagram, right, and this might be me like reading into it too much and being like weird Inception, trying to put a puzzle together. A lot of people who didn't really love book one ended up reading book two and said it was much better. A lot of people who loved book I'm lying. A lot of people who hated book one, who didn't really like it, ended up reading book two for whatever reason, or thought it was okay, thought book two was spectacular. Then the people who loved book one didn't like book two. So I feel like if I follow that same pattern, I might end up liking it. But also, this is just one of those series that I feel like I'm going to keep up with and read book two and book three, because I need to be able to tell you guys that it is crap, and I need to be able to say it with my chest. And I can't say it with my chest if I haven't read it. Another one I wanted to do that with was Throne of Glass, but who's got time? Who has the time to read 7 books? I read Throne of Glass and I said, you know what? It's a no from me. In fact, that's another one I should have DNF'd. I actually got rid of the physical copy as well. I should have DNF'd Throne of Glass because I knew. But I thought, no ways. Everybody is so adamant that this book is so good that, like, you guys can't all be lying. I can assure you, they are all lying. So the next book is one that I think I read in January or February. Yeah. And when I tell you guys the rant I went on Instagram about this book, people were just like, tell us what you really think. And that is Luster by Raven Leilani. I should have DNF'd this book. I really should have stopped reading. This book, the first 100 pages was actually good. This is actually what makes me mad, is that the first 100 pages was pretty good, right? And so I'm reading and I'm thinking, okay, it hits you because it's so unique, it's so crazy. Like Edie's going through a lot. Like there's a lot happening, so you're thinking to yourself, Lord. Then you get to page 150, you're just like, okay, but like this is the same repetitive storyline. And then you get to page 2 and you're like, okay, but like why am I still reading? And then you get to like page 220, which is the end, and you're just like, okay, I just wasted like 2-3 hours of my life because I should have stopped after. This could have been a novella. This book also could have been an email. This could have been a short story. This book actually could have been a really great short story, a novella or an email, because really there was no need. And also Bookstagram hyped this as well, but there was absolutely no need. This one I should have definitely DNF'd, but then I also wanted to be able to finish it. I think this is like a recurring theme in my life, wanting to finish books just so that I can come tell you guys, the next one really annoyed me. And not because of the actual book, but it was because I bought this book in hardback, thinking I was doing something, thinking, oh, this is going to be so cute. Yes, I've never read any of Julie Murphy's stuff. A fat protagonist, here for it. I love it, whatever. And then it was literally like had no seasoning, and it was put in by Julie Murphy, which is kind of like the sequel to Dumpling, because I watched the Dumpling the movie. I haven't read the book, and I saw this at exclusive books. I was like, oh, hardback, I'm in it. So I got it as one of my birthday books last year when I got my parents to buy me books. And then I read it and I was just like, I spent 300 and something of Mandela's rands on this book. And do you know what the problem was? Her name is Millie. Millie was the main character. I just didn't like her. I thought she was just very bland, and there was nothing about it that was exciting. And then her friendship with Callie was just like, so it's basically this book of like this girl, Millie, what's her name? Mitchell Chuck. Millie is like a fat girl, and so she, in Dumpling, she also participated in that kind of beauty pageant or whatever. So now I think, didn't Millie win? Yeah, I think she won. Anyway, so Millie now is like, her mom wanted to go to fat camp and stuff, and she's just like, no, I'm okay with my body. I'm just trying to be happy with myself. And then she befriends this girl named Callie, who's like this skinny, cheerleader type girl who ends up vandalizing the place where Millie works, which is like this gym of some sort. And so she ends up having to work there with her. And then you know how they get thrown together, they become friends. But like nothing about this was just like exciting. Nothing about this. And I guess the biggest pull of this book is like the fat rep in it. But like, I personally just want fat rep with flavor. Do you know what I mean? Like as a fellow fat girl, I just don't particularly want to just read books with fat protagonists that don't have flavor. And I just found Millie to be very bland. Like, and I just didn't like this book. And I should have DNF'd it, but this one, because I bought it and read it, I bought it in hardback, I could not DNF it because I was just super vexed. It's the same reason why I haven't sold this book, why it will stay on my shelf forever. It's because I own it in hardback, and to be fair, I actually really like the cover. I like the red. I like the typewriting. So it'll stay on my cover as a lesson, as a cautionary tale of sorts. That like, this is what happens when you jump the gun and you buy stuff in hardback when you don't even know what this is about. The next book that I should have DNF'd is actually a book I should never have bought. Like, and the thing is, like, I don't know why I bought this. I think I was just like in a weird vibe. And then I ended up buying The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates. And I hate these kinds of books. I do not like self-help books. I don't like these empowering rah-rah type of books. And I just bought this book because I thought, no, it's probably going to have a little bit more depth, because like Melinda Gates fascinates me. I think she's such a strong woman. I think like to be married to Bill Gates, but also to be like a strong woman and a strong businesswoman in your own right. Fam, first of all, this is like how many pages is this? It's like a 250-page pat on the back to Melinda Gates. And I'm just like, ma'am, this could have been an email. Like, we did not need to read a whole book of you basically patting yourself on the back of the good things that you've done. You really could have just sent us a global email. I'm sure Bill Gates and the CIA and have all our email addresses. You could have just sent us all a global email, and we would have been eyed. Like, this book, honestly, and I spent 306 Rand. I'm looking at it now. Wow. I bought an exclusive books, 306 Rand of my own randellas that I spent on this book that I should not have bought, but then I bought. And then I should have DNF'd halfway, because I think like once you finish the first 100 pages of this book, you get the general gist of like what she's trying to say. She's trying to say that like, you know, her aim is to empower women. That's her goal. You empower a woman child, you empower a village. Be a strong woman. Don't just be your husband's plus one. Ma'am, we've got the gist. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know. This book also really, really, really annoyed me, because I should never have bought it in the first place. I should never, ever have bought this book, and I would never buy another book like that ever again. I get gifted books like this by publishers, and I will like read them if I get sent them, but I'm not spending my money on self-help like I beg. Then the next book is a book that was so hyped on Bookstagram last year. Honestly, I saw you and I reviewed this book, you guys. I'll put some of the links of my reviews below. So some of these I just didn't even bother to review. But this book was hyped on Bookstagram last year. And so I got it at the end of last year. And I think I read it. When did I read this? Was it January? No, probably was like December. I should have DNF'd it because I knew about halfway through that it wasn't going to bring the sauce. It wasn't bringing the juice and the sauce and the spices. Like it was okay, but I was not blown away. And it was A Burning by Megha Majumdar. It is set in India, and it tells the story of this kind of train attack, this terrorist attack on the train, and then this girl kind of gets falsely accused. And so these three characters, Lovely, PT Sir, and Jivan, who's the girl, their life stories, and they kind of have links to each other, and it basically tells the story of this environment and this kind of political climate and this society through these three characters. It was very bland, and the thing about this book was that why I should have DNF'd it and why I really wish I had was because I realized about halfway that this book is not, I'm not the target market. If you know anything about, like, kind of, you've read any books, watched documentaries, like we did some of this in school, learned some of the history and kind of the political climate in India, this book is very entry level. And it's like, I understand now when I read it why predominantly American readers found it so, oh my gosh, because their familiarity with that environment is very limited. So for them, it was kind of giving them like the sauce and the juice, right? But for those of us who have like if you were educated in the former Commonwealth, right, you have a base understanding of some of the kind of social, political climates in other countries, especially in Commonwealth countries, because a lot of us had these like modules in school, right? So I'm just like, the writing was also, it was very average. It wasn't great. And so I really should have DNF'd this book because I knew that it wasn't going to hit the way I wanted it to hit. So yeah, this is another one where it was just, I got hyped into getting it. And this is the problem with me. Once I've spent money, I can't not finish a book. And especially once it's been hyped, I almost have to finish the book just so that I can tell you guys how dumb you are. I actually feel like that's my motivation for finishing a lot of books. Is like, I want to finish it so that I can tell Bookstagram that y'all ain't shit. So, yeah, that's it. That's A Burning. That's another book that I definitely should have DNF'd. It sucked. But anyway, then the next one that I should have DNF'd was actually one that really hurt me because it was so, like, I thought it was, sorry, I'm just getting distracted. Something's happening on my camera. Anyway, I saw it on Bookstagram and everybody seemed to like it, and I love queer YA, and I thought, oh my god, the synopsis sounds great. Guys, when I tell you I was choking this book down like wheat bix with no milk, like Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. Oh my goodness. This book is so dry. Like, I was actually so, and you know what, when it takes me longer than 2 days to finish a YA book, I know I don't like it, because usually I'm quick with YA, especially if I'm really into it. I'm like really like reading in between meetings. I've got my audiobook in. I'm really into it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take me that long. The only time it takes me really long to read YA books is if I'm multi-reading. It took me like a week to choke my way through this. And I was just like, there's no way. And the thing is, I was like, after I spoke to Ash, and Ash was just like, yeah, bruh, like, that book is like so beige. And I'm just like, so why do people rave about it so much? Like, everybody raved about it. And I was just like, okay, but like, what are you guys talking about? Like, because obviously I've missed the boat. Like, show me what you see, because I don't see it. Like, this is another book that I definitely should have DNF'd. Yeah, I don't know why I finished it, but like, you know, I have that affliction of not being able to DNF anything. And then the last book that I should have DNF'd is actually a book where I think I gave away my physical copy. Oh no, it's part of my e-library, so some unfortunate soul currently has it. Wow, that sounds so bad. But it is Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. Oh my god. Do you know what? That book is like, what did I call it? I think I said it was like the book equivalent of like Buboti. Like, do you know when something has so many ingredients, so many things going on that you couldn't possibly understand? You couldn't possibly keep up. Like, there is so much happening in this book that I was just like, after like halfway, it was another one that I had to choke down. Like, I was struggling to read it. And I was just like, why is this taking me so long? Like, I love Black fantasy. I'm here for all the... It took me so long to finish, and I just knew that I should have DNF'd that book. And when I finished, when I got to the end, I was just like, I actually didn't care. and I also didn't like it, and I just should have stopped reading at some point, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And so now here we are with like, and this is like going to cover the theme, here we are with like 9 books that I should have stopped reading, but because I suffer from this affliction, I kept reading. And so like, how many hours do you think that is that I've like wasted on these books? Like I just actually can't even imagine. And this is only like the tip of the iceberg. I probably will do another one of these videos because I'm gonna have to go through my shelf properly. This is just like what's off the top of my head of stuff that I should have DNF'd. It's just like vexing me. And all of these are still on my shelf, by the way, because I either like the cover, like Luster, and I wanna keep Luster because I'm thinking this is gonna be a book club book at some point. And other things like Shabby Mahurin and like other stuff like Mega Majumdar. I just want to build my collection of like BIPOC readers, and like I just don't give away my fantasy books in general. But like, yeah, all of these was a mess. Okay, so that is the end of this very, very shady video. That was me running you guys through the about 9 books that I should have DNF'd that I don't know why I ended up finishing. Yeah. Let me know what you thought of any of these, if you also DNF'd them, if you also finished it and really, really, really wish you hadn't of any of these books. I'm really interested to know what you guys thought of these, or if I'm just alone on an island of hate by myself. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram and @PrettyXBookish. Like, comment, follow, share, all that fun stuff. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye. I love you. Bye.